Hi everyone. So I'm going to rank all the books I've read in the last 18 months. I'm going to try and do it faster because I only have 30 minutes to do it, which is seems like a lot, but then you start thinking and coming up with explanations and it becomes harder. So we're going to try to do this again, but faster. So I made a rank of I Love You as the top. I would recommend. I have a soft spot, which is kind of like it wasn't great, but I feel wrong putting it somewhere else. I think we're gonna see how this goes. And then we have She Was Okay, it was fine, didn't leave a mark, never gonna read again, whatever. And No Thank You, which means I didn't like it. So we first have Tress of the Emerald Sea. I read this recently. It's my first Brandon Sanderson book, which is a pretty commonly known fantasy author. It was really good. It was very unique. It was a little slow at the beginning because it was following that kind of traditional thing with fantasy where you need to listen to all this talk about the world building so that you get it, but it's kind of boring. But otherwise, it was great. I loved it. It wasn't like mind blowing compared to some of the other books I have as my favorite, but I felt like it was so good that it was wrong to put it below that. We have next The Mistake by L. Kennedy. This is my second Elle Kennedy book after The Graham Effect. I wanted to read another book from her because I really enjoyed her other hockey romance, which was interesting because I'm not really a sports romance person. It was great. It was enjoyable. I love how she makes it really funny. I like actually laugh at her book, and like every time the characters interact and stuff, it tends to be kind of funny, or even the internal dialogue is very relatable and funny. So I love her writing. So I'm gonna go with I'm gonna put this one I would recommend because even though I enjoyed it, I didn't like the female main character as much. There was something about her was just like not really, it was a little off and I didn't like it. Then we have Powerless. I'm gonna put this in I Love You. It was very good. It was very fast paced. It had a lot going on. It wasn't super predictable. I thought it was interesting. It wasn't super unique or whatever, but I enjoyed it. I'm excited for the next one. That's all we need. The Serpent and the Wings of Night or whatever. I'm gonna put this in She Was Okay because I feel like I should be ranking it higher because so many people really like this book, but it was kind of just I don't know. I don't know what the concept was about it. I usually like trials. I mean, I've read Powerless, I've read Fourth Wing. They all have trials in them, but I just didn't. It didn't click for me. I only got really interested at the end when things were getting more politically interesting, but that's not until the next one. So maybe my opinion will change once I've read more of the series. But I have heard it's not as good, so we'll see. I'm gonna do all three of these at once because I loved all of them. So I did the Cruel Prince, I think it's Wicked King, and then The Queen of Nothing. All of these are great. The arcs are amazing. The characters are amazing. I like books that give you an emotion that make you like. There was a lot of betrayal in it that made me very angry, like actually angry, which is good because you want to feel an emotion when you read a book. Winter in Paradise. I read this Elin Hilderbrand book recently. I'm gonna put it in. I have a soft spot because it was okay. It wasn't amazing, but I want to read more of it. I was enjoying it. It was good. I was rooting for the characters. That's it. Bride. She was okay. It had some very cringy moments. It was pretty average. I haven't found an a Ali Hazelwood book I've really liked yet. It should just there's some parts of it that are just so cringy, and they're it's very average book otherwise, and like it's fine. It was fine. That's it. That's my answer. My first Stephen King book, The Outsider, it was good. It's kind of like the only part of it that I didn't like very much, which it feels wrong criticizing Stephen King because he's himself. I'm realizing with trying a lot of new genres since being a teenager that I don't really like fantasy mysteries. Like not like oh a fantasy has a mystery in it. I don't like it when it's like there's a mystery. It seems very much like real life crime that could have a very deep social commentary, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to tack on it was a monster. It was a ghost. It was possession. It's a part of like where it gets into horror that like just makes me mad because I'm like we could make this so much better, but instead of going and making it deeper and more interesting, we're gonna just be like or even if it was fantasy, I just don't want it to be so simplified where it's like well it's a monster so it's doing monster things. It's like okay, like make the monster nuanced, make it interesting, not just like spooky. But that, again, it's a personal thing. I'm gonna put it in I would recommend. It was interesting. Moloka'i I read for school. It's I would put in I would recommend. I didn't like love it. It wasn't my favorite book I ever read, but it did talk about the leprosy colonies in Hawaii, which I didn't know existed. And since we're in Pride Month, it did have a trans character, which was important because it was in like the early 1900s, and I feel like a lot of people try to make this argument that trans people didn't exist before now, which is not true. Next, Game of Thrones. I would say I would recommend. It wasn't my favorite. There was times where it was just so long. I did skip a few characters things and just like read the synopsis because I just did not care about reading their port. I just didn't enjoy reading from their perspective. I didn't care, so I skipped that. Again, a lot of political things going on, a lot of characters, a lot happening. So it's a lot of brain capacity, which is a little, and it's very long. So that's one part of it that's just a little hard. Like, I think it'll take me a while to get through the whole thing because it is just so mentally taxing. Anyway, I'm glad my mom died. I loved it, was great. Nonfiction book that I actually enjoyed. Yeah, you should read it. When He Was Wicked is from Bridgerton series. It's Francesca's story. I'm gonna put it in I loved. It was probably the more spicy of the bunch. Had a very unique love story that's not used as often, and it had a lot of personal turmoil and stuff like that. And the character Francesca I related to the most of all the Bridgerton children, so I like that. Carrie Soto is back. But I loved. It was enjoyable. It was again like had a personality in the character that was not used as common. I feel like sometimes protagonists can get very consistently the same. So I like that she was different. It was a tennis comeback story. Yours truly, it was okay. It was fine. I wish I had a little more doctoring since it was a doctor romance, but I don't know. Whatever. Crazy Like Us, I read for school, nonfiction. I would recommend. It was kind of talking about how like we in other places how like different mental illnesses are perceived, but also talking about how like the West has like ruined how we do things and like kind of how it's all messed up. That's pretty much it. Very good. Should read. Stalking Jack the Ripper. I have a soft spot. It wasn't amazing. It was kind of just. I think I'm a little too old for it. Maybe I don't know, but I like the romance. I liked the mystery. It was cute. Yeah, you should probably read it, but it's not like my favorite thing to recommend. Next, The Ghost Map. I loved it. It was great. It was a nonfiction. Well, it was a fictional story of a real thing, about like how E. coli was in a well in London and caused an epidemic. How they figured that out. There you go. Very good. Would recommend. Anyway, so we have Malibu Rising. It was okay. I didn't like the characters very much. I was getting frustrated, and that's it. Daisy Jones and the Six, I loved. Was amazing. Should read. Sadie. I would recommend. It is very dark, very intriguing. Abduction or whatever story. Anyway, The Plague. No, thank you. Too much philosophy. Hated it. It was kind of just like reliving a fake version of the COVID pandemic and all of the trauma that happened with that and how it made you feel like, oh, I should care about being alive. And I didn't need to read that again. It was painful. I didn't like it. Moving on. Summer People. I'm going to put it in no thank you because I don't remember it. The Graham Effect. Loved. Was funny. Great. I feel like spicy and also feel like hockey romances. You can always skip the some spicy parts. Would recommend. Very funny. Winter Solstice. I would go with. Did I love it? I'm gonna go with I recommend. It's a cute little like winter story. It was the last one's like definitely the best one. I feel like the characters really evolved. It was great. Moving on. Ruthless Vow. I'm gonna say I would recommend. I like Divine Revels more. I feel like this one kind of fell short as a second book because I felt like there was gonna be more action and there wasn't. King of Ash. Perfect, great, super gut wrenching, painful. Empire of Storm, I loved, was interesting. Tower of Dawn, she was okay. I don't care about Kale. I don't care. I'm glad I read it as a tandem because if not, I would probably die. Um, reading the Love Hypothesis. It was okay. It was fine. It wasn't great. Whatever. Queen of Shadows, loved, great. Assassin's Blade. I had a soft spot. It wasn't great. It's important. It's really sad. That's it. It's a prequel to the rest of the series. Okay, House of Sky. I feel like okay, I'm gonna put it in a soft spot because I love Sarah J. Maas. I can't really say anything else, but it was worse than the first one, which is sad. Anyway, the only one left was interesting. I recommend if you like mystery. It was good. Okay, this one I would put in, I would recommend. It wasn't the best, but it was interesting, it was funny, and yeah, I wish the series wasn't getting worse. Berry Pears. No, thank you. That's it. I can go in depth and make another video about like what I did for each friend, but for the sake of time, I can't. Counting cost. Um, I'm gonna put I have a soft spot because it's nonfiction about Jill Duggar. If you like Jill Duggar and you like the Duggars, you should read it. If you don't. That's it. Frozen River, loved, super underrated, very good. It's about like a midwife that did exist. It's kind of like a fictional version of her, how she had never lost any patients. It was great, interesting, kind of has another mystery aspect. Prodigy, I'm gonna put with it was okay. The whole Legend series, I'm gonna put in it was okay. I think it's very of the time. I read it, I think too late. I think I'm too old, so it was fine. Anyway, the White Lady. I don't remember this book. I'm gonna put it was okay because I remember it wasn't bad, but it was not as mystery and interesting as I expected. Unfortunate. Oh, okay. I think I remember a little bit. No, I don't. Never mind. Love and Other Great Expectations. I'm gonna put no thank you because it was so boring. It was a romance book, but it was giving nothing. That's all I'm gonna say. Wayward. No thank you. I expected it to be so much more interesting and so much more empowering and witchy and stuff, and it wasn't. It was just all of the family members in her life having horrible experiences as women, and that's fine. But it was not marketed that way, and it was very disappointing. Storm. I'm gonna put it in think it's this one. I can't remember which one's which. I think Winter Street's the first one. That one's I have a soft spot because it's not as good, and the other ones are all kind of the same rank. Icebreaker, loved, funny, amazing, recommend. Is it a little cringy and stupid? Yes. Is it fun? Yes. So I love it. Wildfire, I feel like I'm gonna put in I would recommend. I didn't like it as much as Icebreaker. I read this one first, which was weird, so I didn't really get it. But this is like a summer camp cute one. So if you kind of like that, that's for you. Icebreaker is more was more my thing. And Winnie Poplars, I'm gonna go with I loved it. It was cute. It was when she went to college. It was great. It was relatable, even though it takes place in the past. It was nice. I liked it. Anyway, Iron Flame. I'll put in I would recommend, or whatever. We're gonna go with that. I like it. The second one, not as good as the first one. Could have been cut down. I hope the third one will be better. I think giving her more time to breathe will make it better. Anyway, Pineapple Street. No, thank you. Was horrible. Super disappointing. Like I don't mind reading about rich people being annoying and stupid. That's pretty much like a lot of Elin Hildebrand books, to be honest. But it was just bad and painful and annoying. 12 Days of Christmas, a little silly Christmas book. I'm gonna go with I can't remember. So we're gonna go with no thank you 'cause I don't remember it. Divine Rivals. We're gonna go with I loved. It was interesting, unique, fun. Torch Against the Night. I would recommend. I like Ember and Ashes. It's good. I'm gonna put it that one there too. Marion Bright. She was okay. It was cute, cute little Christmas book. Um, okay. City of Bone also gonna be on. Okay, I read it again after reading it as a teenager, and I liked it a lot less. Moving on. Sir Philip with Love. Soft spot. It's Julie Quinn, so I feel kind of bad. I liked it, but it was unique. But yeah, it's not as good as the others. Guest list. Guest list was. Um, I had a soft spot. I feel like it's not that great of a mystery, but I liked it, and that's it. Irregular Witches, again, soft spot. It wasn't that great. It was super cute though. If you like super cute little cozy fantasy, that's for you. 5 Star Weekend. I loved it. It was great. It was interesting. The Paris Apartment. She was okay. Wasn't really giving me anything. Romantic comedy. I'm gonna put in she was okay because it wasn't as bad as the others, but it was disappointing. I was expecting to be funny, really funny, because it's about people who work at a funny thing, like they do like a fake SNL, and there's like a love story, but it just came out. It was just not funny. It was disappointing. That's all I'm gonna say. It was disappointing. It was okay. It was, eh. Connor by Sea. No, thank you. I'm sorry, buddy, Connor. You're so sweet. I think you're an amazing person. Your books are just too sweet for me. The Identicals. No, thank you. I hated those siblings. I hated the family. No. It happened one summer. Eh, I would recommend if you really like spicy and you like grumpy sunshine. It didn't change my life though, and I won't read it again. Air of Fire. I loved. It started to pick up that story for me. Good Girl, Bad Blood. I say I would recommend because Good Girl's Venomer is better, and seeing Pip change is sad. The Summer Turned Pretty. No, thank you. Horrible. Don't read. Action. Not at all like the show. Anyway, the matchmaker. I think it was I Have a Soft Spot. I can't remember it super well. Not that the Eler Hildebrand books really like meld into one. It's just that a lot of the characters interact, so they start kind of bleeding into each other. Anyway, it was interesting. It was cute. The Nightingale. She was okay. It was written really well. If you really like that kind of, okay, I'm gonna put it in I would recommend, because yeah, if you really like that kind of stuff, it was a great historical fiction. It was written really well. I'm realizing I don't think I'm a Kristen Hannah person, because I don't like stories where it just is super sad and nothing changes and you just read forever and ever and ever about how these people's lives are. It's like I don't you can be mentally prepared for some of them, but it's just the type where there's no realistic amounts of places to breathe. There's no funny. There's no friendships that feel like real friendships. It's just a lot of anguish, is what I would describe throughout the whole thing. There's no space to breathe. Anyway, don't like that personally. Crown of Midnight. I recommend. It's okay. It's again also starts to pick up, but not as good as the rest of the series. Everyone knows that. Beach Read. Beach Read is cute. I would recommend. Love Emily Henry. Throne of Glass. I have a soft spot because it's the beginning of that series, but it's not that great. This one, she was okay. Again, kind of the same thing as Stephen King, but written a lot worse. It starts off as like a real life mystery and then transitions to some random fantasy mystery, and it's kind of annoying and it feels like it was just put in there. Of course, Silver Flames, amazing, great commentary, loved it. I love talking about like putting depression and anxiety into a real character and talking about it. Was great. I liked how she evolved. Rule of Wolves. I'm gonna put that in I have a soft spot because I love this character, but I cannot remember his story very well, and I feel like the two characters in it really deserve better. Valor, Songbird, and Snakes. I would recommend. Brings a lot to the world. End of story. Happy Place. I'm gonna say I loved it. I loved that it had this like deeper aspect to it that was great. Talking about mental health. It was good. Wisteria Society. I am gonna go to and I have a soft spot. It could have been better. I feel like I read it incorrectly, if that's even possible. I just feel like my mom read it and loved it, and I just think I just didn't give it the brain capacity to really enjoy it. So I think I need to reread it. Snow Like Ashes. No, thank you. Wasn't very good. Was disappointing. I had wanted to read it for so long, and then I finally got to it, and it was disappointing. It's just I'm too old. Anyway, Twilight. Both of them horrible. Don't read it. Books, movies, super good guilty pleasure. Books, horrible, painful. Lessons Chemistry, amazing. Read it. Golden Girl. Um, mm, I'm gonna say I have a soft spot because I love Elin Hildebrand and it wasn't bad, but the character who is the Golden Girl sucks. Hate her. Horrible parent. Anyway, King of Scars. Again, soft spot. I don't remember any of it. Okay. Uh, Fourth Wing, amazing. Court of Wings and Ruin. Would recommend. I feel like the ending is just so overwhelming, but it's good. The Perfect Couple. I would say I would recommend. It's like a murder mystery with Elin Hildebrand. So there's like all this drama, but it's also got a murder mystery. Anyway, Hawthorne Fathers. I love the Inheritance series, so all of it's top tier. Amazing. The People Who Beat on Vacation. Um, I'm gonna put in She Was Okay because a lot of people love this book, and I love Emily Henry, but I'm holding it in. I really don't like this couple. I feel like it was super toxic, super weird, and I feel like people are kind of letting it get away because it's like this friendship. I feel like there was this weird manipulative aspect. They always felt guilty that they weren't together, and it was just like, why aren't you together? And then the kind of things he was doing without telling her because he was in love with her was really weird. I, I feel like I want to spoil it because it's just bad, but I'm not gonna say it. But yeah, don't be friends with someone because you're waiting for them to be in love with you and then do all these crazy things and change your life even though you're in another relationship for that person because you think maybe someday they'll like me. It was painful. Anyway, Anne of the Island. I have a soft spot because I love Anne of Green Gables, but it was kind of boring. Anyway, next, Elin Hildebrand was this The Rumor. The Rumor was okay. I was expecting more drama. There wasn't really any, and then I was like super frustrated that there wasn't any, and it was more just like fuck people doing fucking things. Hotel Nantucket, loved, amazing. It was different than other books. You should read it. Court of Mist and Fury, love. Court of Thorns and Roses, here with the same one, kind of the same rank. It's good. It's the good gateway, and you fall in love with it, and then it gets a lot better. Book lovers loved, was funny, made me laugh out loud. That's it. Romancing Mr. Bridgerton. I liked it. It's Penelope with Colin. A an Not from a Gentleman. Oh, also the Penelope Colin romance is better in the books, and there's a lot less drama and BS, and it's a lot cuter. Anyway, Offer just from a Gentleman. No, thank you. I don't like Cinderella retellings. It's like it was so cookie cutter Cinderella retelling that I just couldn't handle it, and I did not like it. It's not that the okay, well, no, I don't like Benedict as a character in the book. He sucks. His romance interest, Sophie or love interest, whatever, she was great, but I didn't like it. Anyway, Seven Husband Evelyn Hugo, amazing. Also, Pride Month special. I'm just gonna leave it there. It's great. You should read it. The Project. I would recommend. Very dark, very depressing, but is interesting. And it's talking about like a fictional cult. It kind of gets into that how cults suck you in. It's very painful to read, but it is, I think, important, and it was done well. It was so uncomfortable and sad, and it was supposed to be. Anyway, where the Crawdads sing. I would recommend. Very unique. I liked how it kind of incorporates this like love for nature in it, even though it was very odd. But I would recommend. It's not like my favorite thing, not really my style, but it was good. The Vagina Loved Me. My favorite, I think it's my favorite Julia Quinn book. It's great. I love Anthony and Kate. I love Kate's personality. I love their relationship. All the Hunger Games are going into God tier because it just does. Summit Lake, don't remember it. So is going in no thank you. It's on Shadow and Bone. I'm gonna put them in. She was okay. I might put the second one in. I have a soft spot because I thought it was gonna go somewhere better and then it didn't, and that's why the others are lower. I didn't like the relationship. A lot of people say that it sucks. It was a friend to lovers. It sucks. Kind of in the same category of like people we meet on vacation. I didn't like it. Um, Crooked Kingdom. I don't know why Six of Crows is not in here. Maybe it was in that same time range, but whatever. I love it. Series perfect. No notes. The Duke and I would recommend. It's great. I like it. Simon and Daphne's relationship is good, but um, it's I would say the show is a little better with it, but also that one controversial scene is controversial for a reason, and I agree with it, even though I do like this book. Um, yeah, that's it. Um, How to Hang a Witch is great. It's like a Salem witch trial related thing in contemporary time, but with fantasy. It's good. Would recommend. The Night Watchman, very good. It's kind of talking about like indigenous communities and like different aspects of how they are treated in society, but like without, you know, spelling it out for you. It's just you're experiencing it with the characters, and it's great. I loved it. I read it for school; it was required, and I absolutely loved it. I enjoyed reading it. I wanted to finish it, which does not happen a lot for books that get given to me. I think that they only ever happened again with maybe like The Great Gatsby. Those two ate them up, even though they were like forced upon me by school. Really, really, really recommend. It's amazing, and it really changed my perspective. It was great. Anyway, these last two are from my race and racism class from school. They are both very good. I'm gonna put my grandmother's hands in. Probably I would recommend because I think people should read it. I didn't get much out of it because I didn't have time to do the mental exercises I was supposed to do because it was for school, so I had to kind of like rush it through with all my other classes. I think I would have gotten more out of it if I had taken the time to actually deconstruct internalized racism. If I did learn from it, but I would have learned more if I had more time to, experience the book like I'm supposed to. Between the World and Me, again, would recommend. It's written in like a stream of consciousness, but it's kind of talking about how his relationship with being a black man evolved throughout his life and how it impacts how he parents and how he is worried about his son. So yeah, this is my ranking of all these books in the fastest way possible. I might make another video of me breaking it down of each one so it's less quick, but that's what it is. There you go. I hope you enjoyed it.